If January feels a bit off after the holidays, your digestion, your mood, your energy, and your kitchen, you're not alone. Come and cook with me for the next 30 minutes. It's not about a reset. It's not about shifting everything. It's just about creating a little bit of rhythm. So, by the end of our time together, you will have one simple meal ready and sorted for today, and your kitchen will hopefully feel a little more cleaner, calmer, grounded, and set for the week ahead. So let's get going. Grab your apron or any other goodies and join me as we cook, meal prep, do some fun stuff together. Let's adjust this somewhat. There we go. So today you will at least be able to see what I am doing. What we're going to be focusing on today is, and this is literally because my fridge is completely empty. I haven't gotten to the shops. And one of the staples that I often have in my kitchen is gem squash, because they just tend to last and last and last. So we are going to be making some gem squash with sweet corn, because tinned sweet corn is all I have. And then we'll make some sweet potato latkes with a bit of onion. Simple, easy, doable. If you have these items, you can follow along and join me for the next 30 minutes. Otherwise, just spend some time in your kitchen meal prepping, chopping up veggies, and we get to hang out and have a little bit of fun. So here we go. Let's get started. Let's get going. For those of you who don't know me yet, welcome. My name is Nina. I am a yoga teacher. I've been teaching yoga for over nearly 25 years now. And I'm a health and wellness coach as well, focusing mainly on Ayurvedic lifestyle habits. So we'll start off by cutting open our gem squash. I prefer to boil, cook my gem squash cut in half. And I think this has to do with the fact that when we were growing up, my mom would make gem squash and she would cook them whole, and often they would like explode or have a tendency to maybe explode in the kitchen if you forget about them. And for some reason, I have a little bit of that trauma, that drama still stuck in me. So what I find works really, really well, I have no idea if this is nutritionally right or not, is actually just to cut the gem squash in half, fill the pot with some water, you can see them, so that they're like just touching, pop that on the stove, let them do their thing. So in a sense, they're like cooking and steaming at the same time, and then I'll just scoop the inside out once I'm done. So if you've got a gem squash at hand, give that a go. Craig and I, we usually share a gem squash, so you'll just do this according to, if you want a half a gem squash, do you want a whole gem squash for yourself? But we will let that, I've got that like on medium-low heat. We'll let that do its thing on there. Simple, easy, and yeah, really, really effective. So I need an onion. I'm going to grab one more thing from the other side here, just so that we're all on the same note. I'm just grabbing my little notes for today so that I know what I actually want to be chatting about. But we'll start off by, I'm going to head into chopping up an onion, because we'll need that both for the sweet potatoes and the gem squash. But what I wanted to say is that January for me often feels off, especially after December and the holidays and the busyness, visiting family and friends, and often just eating the type of things that I normally wouldn't. And as you well know, I haven't managed to get to the shops yet. So I'm just making do with what is in the fridge, what is in the pantry, and that is absolutely fine. Like, we don't always need to rush around, get things. Sometimes we can reset our system and get into a healthier rhythm by just using what we've got. And as much as it's nice to do a little bit of like a food detox, sometimes that can feel really overwhelming in January, especially when there's still so much going on with regards to maybe you've got kids and they need to get back to school. Maybe it's getting back to the office and starting work. And if that's the case, there might be kind of like lots of stuff pending. And so instead of like doing yet another new thing, a new task, instead of adding something new to your plate, it's pretty much what I'm saying, is just go with what you've got. And it's not that what you've got in your kitchen, in your pantry is bad. It might not be ideal, fair enough. But what we're looking to create is a little bit of rhythm. That's the important thing. So it's just finding that rhythm again to show up in your kitchen, to show up and start prepping, chopping the veg. Often when I don't know where to start, just grabbing an onion and starting and chopping an onion and sauteing that with maybe like a little bit of garlic, a few spices. That is enough to inspire me to be like, okay, well, let me go see what other veggies I've got in the fridge, maybe go grab some carrots, maybe go grab some other things. And from there, kind of like allow things to build, evolve, and grow. So that is kind of like where and what I would suggest looking at with regards to, starting out and not really knowing where or what you're wanting to start with. So onion is always great because we're going to be using a lot of it. I'm actually going to do 2 onions at the moment. And with that, once we've started setting ourselves up to creating a better rhythm or stepping back into rhythm, that's when we can often notice things in our life creating and finding a bit more ease. So finding that you're able to wake up in the mornings and go for that walk, do your meditation, do a little bit of breathing, a little bit of exercise. All of those things happen a lot more easily as soon as we start to practice and we build in rhythm into our day. And for me, that's often showing up in the kitchen. Finding that in Sanskrit, we like to call it kitchen sadhana. So finding those simple dishes, recipes, practices of just clearing out the pantry, going through the fridge, doing a little bit of a declutter. So maybe you're not even cooking with me today. Maybe it's actually just that you need to get into the fridge, you need to take everything out, you need to give it a good little clean, a good fresh start for the week, for the year, so that you know exactly where you're starting from. Because when we have got a system that is too filled with gunk and junk and too much in us, then it's not going to serve us in the long term. We want to have clarity. We want to have some freedom. And I, again, feel that, the kitchen is the heart of the home. So when we start in the kitchen, when we start in our fridges, in our pantry, sorting that out, it really does kickstart us off to a good space. And if all you're doing with me today is chopping up an onion and sauteing that a little for inspiration to kick in, that's absolutely perfect. That counts as well. Right. So I think the little gem squashies are doing their thing here. And let's get the stove going. What I'll do is I'm going to heat up a little bit of olive oil. You can use ghee if you've got ghee, which is fantastic. I don't have any, so we're going to go with some really nice Portuguese olive oil. That's what we can find here in Mozambique. So if you're a midlife woman like me, Again, realizing that protein and healthy fats are actually really useful and good in your system. Right, coconut oil is actually also a nice one to be doing in this. I like to cook with coconut oil as well. While that's heating up a little, maybe getting a few of these garlic cloves ready. So seeing which ones are still workable. And what we'll do is we'll saute a little bit of onion and garlic, because that will be lovely to have mixed with the corn in the, what's it called, in the gem squash, and then just putting a little bit of, I've got nutritional yeast. Let me see where my nutritional yeast is here. I've got that in a lovely, I love these containers in a jar. I'll do that with a couple of spices, throw some nutritional yeast on, pop that in the oven, and let that kind of like roast, warm up, grill, whatever the technical term is, there. All right, while I'm talking and completely forgetting that I have oil on the stove, let's get some of these onions in. And with the potato latkes, you know what? I think I'm actually just going to do same. I'm just going to fry it all up and then throw in the fried onions, because it's actually, they have a nice taste once they're fried. That's what I'm doing. You do you. I'm doing me. And all right, there we go. Onions are doing their thing. Let me grab a nice, I love my bamboo spoons. I really do. Give those a little thing. The oil was definitely not too hot, so that was good. That was fine. And one of the things that I think I've picked up over the years with teaching yoga, with coaching, is that rules really don't work for me when it comes to dietary rules, when it comes to any sort of rules, to be honest. I always find that I resist. I try to find a way around them. And instead of working with rules, what I find is actually a little bit more helpful is looking at creating and finding rhythm, creating a bit more rhythm in my life. And when we create rhythm and we work with our circadian rhythm, when we work with the rhythm that nature has intended for us, life becomes a lot more easeful and a lot more fun. And there are so many rhythms that are right there for us to see in life. And one of the rhythms that I think took me a while to get right, and I'm not even going to say that I do this right all the time, but it's the rhythm of meals. And if you know anything about Ayurveda, you'll know that there are 3 types of doshas. Your vata, which is your air and ether, your pitta, which is your fire with a little bit of water, and your kapha, which is a lot of like earth and water. And obviously we are all of these, and we can be combinations of these in varying degrees. However, given that, I've noticed that with the really hectic lifestyle that we all live, all the busyness that is going on with running a business, family, households, all the stress that goes around, even just getting to the shops is stressful. That's probably why I haven't been to the shops, because it is a mission. It is a task to do. And so with life and life being stressful, rhythm and structure is one of those things that is so, so, so important. And for me, the rhythm and the routine of meals is, I think, my go-to place when things are a little off or when I feel a little out of sorts. That is the first thing I should look at. I maybe don't always look at, but I should look at. And what we want to be doing is getting, especially if you are in midlife, if you're perimenopause, postmenopause, you really want your body to get into the space of comfort and rhythm of, okay, breakfast, my body is getting nutrients. It's getting breakfast around the same time every day. I'm getting my lunchtime meal at the same time every day. Not skipping, not delaying. And really in Ayurveda, we like, and this is why I enjoy doing this at like 11 o'clock my time, is to prepare for it, is to really have your main meal at noon. When you just start shifting your main meal from your evening time to noontime, you will notice that you're going to sleep better, you're going to sleep deeper, and you're going to have less cravings in the evening. If you close your kitchen after your supper, your supplementary meal, your lighter meal early on in the evening, if you just like don't have anything, you're less inclined to snack and you're less inclined to have carb heavy meals or things to eat, which means that you're less likely to put on that adipose tissue that we so easily manage to add to our bodies around the midriff area. All right, let's add some spices here as we go. And so this rhythm of meal times, I think, is, again, probably one of the hardest things to stick to, one of the hardest things to create. And, whoa, that was a lot of salt. Anyhow, let's hope it all works out. It's one of the hardest things to stick to. But when we do, it really does start to settle our nervous system. Our nervous system starts to feel a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more easeful. And your body has this innate ability that it can actually now trust you because it doesn't need to stress. It's not stressed about when is the next meal coming, what is the next meal, is there going to be enough fuel, is there going to be enough energy in what this woman is eating, putting into me, or is she just going to starve me again? Do I need to then hold on to my fat cells in the tissue? Whereas when you start to treat your body and you start to create a little bit more rhythm, and you treat it as part of the whole ecosystem, you're giving it the routine it needs of a meal at breakfast, a meal at lunch, a meal at dinner, and you give the spacing between. So you're only drinking your water or your hot water between your meals, and you're not continuously snacking with a handful of nuts and an apple here and a packet of chips or a biscuit here or a rusk there. But you're actually giving yourself the nutrients at a specific time that is going to sustain you. And there's nothing wrong with feeling a little pang of hunger every now and then. We're not starving the body. What we're doing is we're igniting Agni. Oh, this water is still a bit hot. Not a smart move, Nina. What we're doing is we are igniting Agni. So that is kind of like the fire we call it like the fire in the belly, I suppose. And what happens is that this fire is now kind of like, I don't know, speaking a little louder, a little clearer, like, hey, it's time to get prepared, get ready to make something and to ingest something. And then once you've created that healthy meal that has got an array of vegetables, you've got them in your fridge, and a good healthy protein, when you sit down calmly and you sit down to eat with a sense of mindfulness, and you're not rushing, you're not standing, you're not grabbing an apple and I don't know, or a sandwich, and you're on the go and you're moving, but you're actually just sitting quietly and you're pausing for a moment. You're having that pause in your day. That is what is going to be sustainable for yourself in the long run. Now, don't get me wrong, we're not aiming for perfection. This is not how we're going to live every single day of our life for the rest of our life, because yes, we do need to move around. Yes, we do have things we need to get to and go to. However, if we can do it just one more time than we're currently doing it, if we can do it a little bit more often than how we or what we're doing at the moment, that will stand us in good stead. I must say, I need to share this with you guys. Don't you love it when you find something in the shops that you have been wanting for a long time and you weren't expecting to find it in the shops, and then you do find it? That's what happened last week. I popped into the shops. Now, I have always loved those, I don't know, you see them a lot like in cooking shows, especially like with, I know a lot of my Indian friends who cook have it. They have these like round stainless steel containers with like smaller containers in it, and they have all their herbs and spices in there. So you like lift the lid and you've got your cumin and your coriander and your turmeric and your ginger, and it's just a beautiful smell of spices, and you kind of like, you know, pop in, choose what you want. Now, I've been wanting one of those for ages and I haven't found one, and I'm not really into this whole internet shopping to go and find it. However, I came across something similar, which is this guy in the shop. So it's actually, whoa, it's got a little stand. So you can kind of like have it flat, or you can use this to hook it in and stand it up. But this is a magnet, so it can stick on there. And you've got your spices, which look really, really cute in these little containers. And then you've got the little round ones. Let's see if I can show you. So you've got that little round, so you can like spray them out, sprinkle them out is probably more the technical term. Or you've got like a big slip where you can like allow it out, or you just obviously open the lid. I'm not going to do that now because I'll probably make a mess. But a little bit of paprika. No, this is chili. I should probably label them. This is my paprika. I'll add a little bit of that into here because that is what I'm drawn to. Spices that are lovely to use, especially like warming and nice for balancing our system, is I'll always throw a little bit of cumin in, sometimes coriander, and I quite like the taste of paprika, or my mom would say paprika, and it gives a lovely aroma. So I'm going to need my little doodah, guys, because that pan is too hot. So I've just got the onions and the garlic literally sauteing like that, doing their thing, smelling good, I should say. And what I'll do is once the gem squash are finished, I'm going to mix a little bit of this with some of the sweet corn stuff, the gem squash, and then pop those into the oven for maybe 10 minutes or so. Gem squash are doing their thing. Let's just use a knife to poke them. Yeah, jeepers. How cool is that? We've been like live 24 minutes. They've probably been in there 20 minutes because I was chatting before we started. I'm just going to drain the excess water and I'll leave the lid off and they can cool down a little, because there's nothing worse than trying to de-seed a really hot gem squash and burning your fingers. So that can do what it needs to do. These onions, I'm going to switch these off because I'm going to get distracted with the sweet potato, and I'm sure they will still just keep kind of doing their thing in there. All right, let's switch you off. And now sweet potato. I think I'm going to use 2 sweet potatoes for the latkes because I've got quite a lot of onion and yeah. So I'm going to use my handy dandy vegetable brush here, which I absolutely love. And I definitely need to get a new one just to take, I don't know, like the sandy bits off the sweet potato. And then I think I'm going to just cut the ends, get rid of those guys, and then pop it into my blender, what's it called? Like a food processor, so that it can cut it small. Now you could use a grater if you don't have a food processor. I wasn't actually sure if my food processor would be able to cut sweet potato. I've got the pink ones here. I think the orange ones are nicer. If I had the orange ones, I would use those. But I actually did practice before to see if my food processor would work. And it does. So let's do these guys. So excuse the noise. Get on chopping or cutting with what you need to do. And if we don't plug it in, it's not going to help either. Have you ever done that? Or one of the things that I regularly do is when the power goes out, I'll be like putting on trying to put the kettle on, or putting on the light switch, or wondering why the washing machine doesn't go on. And they'll be like, there's no power, obviously, Nina. So let me know if you do that regularly. Right, sorry about the noise. There we go, done, dusted. Sweet potatoes are, I think, as done as they will be. I don't think we need very many more. The ones that I'd done a moment before, I just let soak in cold water, I hear that helps with, I don't know if it's keeping the potatoes fresh or what it is, but actually give them a little bit of a rinse. I also know that a friend was saying that one of her clients was, what was it? Not gluten, was it celiac? Anyway, by soaking potatoes for 8 hours or something like that, it took something or another out of the potatoes, and then she was able to eat them. So that's, if when you struggle with potatoes, maybe you want to see if just soaking them overnight or for a couple of hours can help you to eat potatoes, because there's such good stuff in them, especially in sweet potatoes. I really like sweet potatoes. So I think I'm going to, I am going to just squeeze all the excess water out, because when you make latkes, you really don't want to have too much water or moisture in them. And we're going to, and this is, what it is about like simple foods or just getting going in the kitchen. You just start with one thing and then you find like the inspiration to continue. I must say, I don't often start something and then feel like, oh no, this is not going anywhere. This is boring. Let me give it up. Let me, stop and go grab a cheese sandwich or, I don't know, a packet of chips. I'll get going and I'll be like, this is fun. And this is why it's fun to, have people join you in the kitchen, for you to be joining me. Because then it's not like feeling like I'm alone doing this by myself, enjoying the company. All right, I think that's probably good enough. And when we do meal prep, it really is just about like, okay, what do I have in the fridge, and what can I make with what there is, and not getting stressed about, I don't have all the spices or all the herbs or all the vegetables necessary to make the perfect or the ideal meal. It's just about, okay, let's get ourselves back into the kitchen, back into rhythm, back into, showing up and starting out, finding that rhythm again. All right, let's throw all the junk into there. Let me grab my recipe. So let's see, sweet potato and onion latkes, 2 medium sweet potatoes. I don't know, maybe that was 3, so maybe I'll have to do a bit more. 1 small onion, grated or finely chopped. We've got some onion in there. 2 cloves garlic. We've got that in there. 1 to 2 tablespoons of flour. Salt and pepper, which is in there. Ground cumin, turmeric. I didn't put turmeric in. Let's throw a little bit of turmeric in. Did I put turmeric in? I can't remember. Anyway, I think we can ever... Oh, that's where it opened up. I'm still needing to learn how to use this guy. Here we go. I definitely underspice my food. That's one thing that I've noticed with like showing up regularly in the kitchen. So I really am trying to throw in a little bit more spice to make it a bit more exciting. So we've got the sweet potatoes going here. Let's add in the cooked onion. And I'll leave the rest for the gem squash. And then I am going to be using chickpea flour. If I can open it. Jeepers. And that's the other thing that happens with like perimenopause is your grip strength. If you don't start like training and using your grip strength, you start to notice that your grip strength wanes. So if you are noticing that, know that you're not alone and that you do need to work at it, to be honest. You all hear about truth and honesty, is that you do need to work at it to improve, because it is such an important aspect. So if you are noticing that you just don't have the strength that you used to, you can rest assured that your lean muscle mass is probably deteriorating somewhat and that you need to take action and do something about it. If you have not noticed muscle strength weakening, all good, but still do your strength training. This morning I did, so every morning, nearly every morning, let's not lie, Nina, I try to do some form of movement exercise. My goal, and this last week definitely did manage to do that, is to do at least 3 strength training exercises, practices a week. And 1 sprint interval training, which I thoroughly detest. And then from the sprint interval training, doing 2 yoga sessions a week. So kind of, yeah, 1 to 2 yoga sessions and 3 strength training sessions. Oh, this is still hot. And 1 sprint interval training. And this morning was my sprint interval training, or your HIIT session, call it what you want. The cats actually love the gem squash seeds. They absolutely go crazy for them. And yeah, not whisk those down, munch those down. So this morning was a sprint interval training, and way too hot. And I follow this lady on YouTube. And what they say is like sprint interval training is you want high intensity for a short amount of time, and her sessions aren't more than about 30 minutes. So very, very doable. I struggle to do them more than once a week because I do not like cardio. Let's be real. And I only managed to get through 2/3 of the session. And for the first time, I was like, actually, okay. It's like, Nina, you just showed up. That is the first thing with creating a habit, is like, you know what, you showed up, it was fun, you enjoy her, you enjoy, you know, her personality and how she explains things. And it's okay if you didn't do the whole thing, but at least you did more than if you hadn't done. And that's the same kind of like, you know, with meal prep or cooking. If you're just here and all you do is you're chopping up a little bit of veggies, that's a lot. That's plenty. Maybe that's, I forget. Maybe that's all you need to do for now, because next time you will probably do a little better and go a little further. So yeah, we all start where we are. The idea is to build the habit, to build the muscle, to build that muscle memory in a sense. And so that's why we're showing up every week at 11 o'clock and just hanging out together a little to do the meal prep, to make just one healthy meal for the day. And maybe that'll inspire you to do more. Maybe that'll inspire you to do a bit more of a menu plan for the week ahead. Who knows? But just starting is better than not. It doesn't really matter how many times you start over. What matters is that you're starting to build that consistency. So that's what I noticed with the habit of meditation for me is, you know what I'm going to add in here? It's not actually in the recipe, but what I really think might be quite good is a little bit of feta, and that's one thing that I've got in the fridge, is the habit of meditation. It's always been a difficult habit for me to form. And that's because I thought it needed to be like regularly at the same place, at the same time for like a half an hour. And actually the best is just to start with 1 minute. Like James Clear says, make the habit so easy that it's difficult to fail at it. And when you create that, where it's so easy that it's really difficult to fail, then you're going to start creating consistency, you're going to start creating momentum, and slowly notice that it is now becoming a regular habit. Something that you weren't doing is now becoming something that you are doing. So maybe that's, again, for me, I wanted to get into spending a little bit more time in my kitchen. So I decided, well, instead of doing it alone, I'm going to hang out with you. And we're going to spend a little bit of time together and just catch up and chill. And then at least I know once a week I have used up what is in my kitchen, what is in my pantry, what's in my fridge, what is needing. Plus, I'm going to have some healthy, delicious, nutritious meals that have got some Ayurvedic herbs. And not like they're Ayurvedic herbs, like your cumin and coriander, because everyone actually uses and cooks with them. But they're just so simple, nurturing and grounding, and easy ones to include. So, yeah. And that's it. So now we've got, I literally just mixed in the onion, some sweet corn, decided on feta. I love feta. Pop them, there you go, into these little guys. I'll throw some nutritional yeast on top. Yep, here we go. Sprinkle a bit of that guy. Let's see if we can do this without like making a big mess. Here we go. A little bit more for Nina, a little bit less for Craig. I suppose what you could also do is if you wanted to make this a little bit more protein rich, is that you could just add some lentils to it. That would have also been really nice. So that I'm going to pop into the air fryer because it's just the two of us for warming up. Then what we'll do is we'll make some potato latkes with the sweet potatoes. Just try those. You can also make like little balls and throw those into the oven if you don't want to use oil. And that is pretty much the meal that we've got for today. So if cooking like this helped you to feel a little bit more grounded, a little calmer, the next step is to join my free school community, and that's where this rhythm continues. I will see you again next week at 11 o'clock South African Standard Time or in the school community. Till then, happy cooking, stay happy, stay healthy, and remember, simple steps and tiny habits will get you there. Take care.